Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Taste of Dragons, the Toddcast, video game podcast that all them babies listen to.
Yep, all them little ones.
All the
tykes, some toddlers even.
All the little babies.
The bridge babies out there.
The bridge babies.
I think that's what they're called. I don't know.
Oh, between the two generations, bridge
Yeah.
babies.
Yeah.
I get it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, welcome to Taste of Dragons. My name is Brian.
I'm Manda.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Katelyn.
And you might have noticed that Troy was not in that because he is not here, unfortunately.
He's making little children happy somewhere.
Yeah. What a jerk. Man, doing a good job at stuff and making kids happy.
Being nice to people instead of podcasting.
I know, right? He's making us happy.
Making us look bad.
Right?
But he should be back in a couple of weeks, though. So
Yes.
So yeah. So we'll have to make do without him today, which is fine.
Is it though? Is it really?
We're gonna have to make it.
We'll have to.
If we don't, I'm sorry ahead of time.
It's all Brian's fault.
You know, it usually is. I mean, I'm not gonna.
You do have our Instagram followers up ablaze.
Oh, do I?
Yes.
Oh, I don't have Instagram, so I'm just gonna have. You're gonna have to Morse code that over to me.
Okay.
Well, I'll send my carrier pigeon.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that. So yeah, let's jump right into it then. Let's get to the games that we've been playing this week.
Okay.
I'll start us off. For once, I was not playing Final Fantasy 14 a lot. I just wasn't, like heavily into it. Actually, a new game came out called Rebel Galaxy Outlaw, which is a prequel to Rebel Galaxy, which came out, I think, in 2015. Basically, it is a space flight simulator type of thing. Or not simulator, but, type of game, kind of like Freelancer, if you know what that is. Basically, you have your aircraft and you fly around to different planets and different things. So yeah, this is a prequel. So basically, the beginning of the first game, your ant gives you a ship, and that's what you pilot with. This game, you're playing as the ant before that happened.
Oh.
Is this like the RPG game? Is this made by the same people who did Dark Cloud? Or am I thinking of something
No,
else?
that's a different thing.
Okay.
No, that's a different thing. That's not
And this isn't a roguelike either.
This is not a roguelike. No,
Okay,
this
those
is
are two games that I'm thinking of that are not this game.
That's
okay.
fine. Way to rain on my parade, man. But no, it's a good game. It's you got your ship, which is your spaceship. You're flying around, completing missions. You're meeting some wacky characters. You are upgrading your ship because you start out with basically you start out the game, your ship gets exploded by some dude. And so like you like call on to one of your contacts and like, yeah, I have a ship for you, but it's a junker, so you just got to do what you can make do. And then you get up to the spaceship and it's a literal junker. It's actually used to like haul trash. So you're like, oh, I didn't expect like a literal like.
I said it was a junker.
Yeah, that's basically what he says too. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll have to make do with this. So you're upgrading your ship, completing missions, and it's a really good space flight simulator, like that type of game. Especially with the different weapons that you have. You have missiles, you have lasers, or you could have bullets if you want. And you have to manage that with your power resources and your shields and everything. So at the beginning, I died a lot because again, I'm driving a trash compactor basically.
What's the art style like?
The art style is it's kind of like a more realistic Borderlands. Like it doesn't have as harsh of that type of cell shading, but it is definitely like that type of art style.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a really beautiful game, and I think I've been doing a lot of side missions. I've not been doing the main mission at all. So I think I've only done like 5 main missions and like probably close to like 30 or 40 side missions. I'm Skyring this.
No, Skyrim would be if you only did side missions.
Yeah.
Forgot there was a main mission
Yeah,
and
exactly.
like remembered in a few years from now.
Well, it's so bad. I actually have like the best ship in the game already. I'm like upgrading all of my weapons. I'm like getting into like I went back to the main mission. And it's like, oh, I'm sailing through this. This is barely an inconvenience.
All the over levels.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my game I played this week, which was Rebel Galaxy Outlaw.
PC?
Yes, PC. think it might have come out on the other consoles, or no, it comes out on the other consoles later on. I think it's within the next month or two. It'll be out on PS4 and Xbox.
Okay, cool.
And it is a Epic Store exclusive, though.
Oh.
Yeah.
Controversial.
Ooh, yeah.
Can't play it now. Burn it all down.
Yeah, burn it down. Yeah, it's not worth it. Can't be doing it. So yeah, that was my game. What did you play, Katelyn?
Shocker. This is like, what, the 5th, 6th week in a row?
That's fine.
Dragon Quest Builders.
Ooh.
The saga continues.
The saga continues. So last we left off, we were in chapter 2, and we might still be in chapter 2. I'm not really sure, because I thought I knew how to break apart the chapters before, and now I'm not sure. So, because the first Dragon Quest Builders, everything was clean cut. You're in chapter. You actually clicked on chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 to enter the game. Mm-hmm. So it was super simple.
Yeah.
This game, I was like, oh, okay. Every time I go to a new world, this is a new chapter.
Yeah.
There's like a couple of missions on the main island, but nothing too long. So I finished up what I assumed was the end of chapter 2, and now I'm on this like weird side mission thing because I got kidnapped. But to finish off where I was in chapter 2,
yes.
So there was the girl; she was stone. I beat the Medusa that had turned her stone. Actually, super easy, surprisingly enough.
Nice.
But so I defeat her, and then finally get the girl to almost not be stone anymore, and the golem that was in love with her ended up giving his life, but becoming a sentient head on top of a bar. And he's still in love with her. And to the point where she also fell in love with him.
Okay.
So at the end of the chapter or whatever, mm-hmm. You get to leave the island and go back to your main island. And the girl's like, I don't want to go. I don't want to leave his giant head. He gave his life for me. I love him. And then the giant head had to tell her, no, go with Katelyn. Go on to these journeys and come back and tell me beautiful tales. And I was like, this is getting really strange.
It wasn't before with the showers and the pool and everything. No.
And they were all very upset I was taking her away from them.
Well, yeah. This seems like a Smurf situation where you're taking away the Smurfettes and nobody else is left. Yeah.
So then we go to our regular island, and I'm like, okay, we're doing a couple of missions, and then I'm going to go to the next major island. And then in the beginning of the game, I don't remember if I mentioned, but there were like pirates that kidnapped me.
Okay.
So like you start off on the kidnapped pirate ship, and I don't know if they're actually pirates because they're all like undead, but I'm going to call them pirates.
Sure.
So you're on this pirate ship, and you escape, and that's where you get to this first island. So now I was trying to go to the third island, and the pirates kidnapped me again.
Oh, they came back for more.
Yeah.
It's so random because like between islands you get like random side quests and they're fun. They're like, hey, go build this type of bedroom you haven't had before.
Build this pyramid.
Or just go find this crop that doesn't exist. And they're all very lighthearted. And there's one that's like, we should go check out the shore. And I was like, maybe I'll get seashells or a different type of furniture. And they're like, no, you're kidnapped. And the mission takes forever.
Yes.
And I was like, I was in the middle of something. I was still building this thing back here.
And then the pirates are super jerks because like they kidnap you and you're locked up in a cage. So then they finally let you out. You have to do slave work for them. And they're like, okay, I need you to plant these cabbages. So I plant these cabbages, and then 3 days go by and the cabbages finally grow. And then they're like, awesome, thank you for growing the cabbages. Now you see that big bale of hay in the middle of all the cabbages? I'm like, yeah. They're like, okay, take this torch and set it on fire. And I'm like, that doesn't seem like a good idea, but you have to do it. So
I tried to leave.
Yeah, I tried doing everything. And then I like, eventually, I'm going to have to do this. So then I light the hay on fire, and it lights all the cabbage that you just worked on fire. Super fun.
This is not part of the story, but if you go to the right, there's like a storage shed that they have, and there's bales of hay in there. And you can totally light them on fire.
I totally lighted them all on fire as well.
It was like, wait, you gave me a tool to burn things down?
And then you specifically told me what to burn down? So that was my revenge. I burnt everything.
Nice.
Easter egg, you can burn down a hut.
Yeah. And then last I left off, I was trying to escape, and I got a slime companion.
Ooh.
Like, you get to name him and everything. He's adorable. And apparently now you can catch other monsters too. So I'm excited once I get off this island, or whatever this is, to get more monster slaves.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So what does the slime do for you? Or do you not know yet?
Not sure yet. Like,
Okay.
he was talking to me and telling me, hey, I think you can break this thing over here so you can get underground to this tunnel so you can escape. And it's like, okay, that's good story-wise, but what are you going to do for me when they're in the real world, you know?
All right, cool. So now, Zach, what did you play?
I finished, I guess, 1/4 of the story of Fire Emblem. I mean, for the most part, honestly, like it does give you a definite ending. Like, you get an ending. It's just that you are clearly missing big chunks. You don't learn certain people's motivations as to why they're doing things. You kind of just have to deal with the ramifications, much like I'm sure war would probably be like when you're dealing with different empires and kingdoms and whatnot. But
Yeah.
it's really, I'm really just mostly surprised at how much my opinion turned, considering last week I think my review was resounding okay.
Yeah.
To pretty much, I mean, if you don't want any spoilers, I'll try not to spoil too much, but there is a major shift in the game in what happens, and they pretty much, well, now that we got you to spend all that time like caring about this academy and all the students, now it's full on civil war, and you're killing your friends and whatnot, and it's I'm really happy with the house that I ended up picking, because I think based off of what I learned about the house, all 3 house leaders from my game, Dimitri goes on through like one hell of like a transformational journey. He starts out as like the goody two shoes prince, honestly, and then pretty much the realities of war just like send him spiraling over the edge, and you pretty much have to go on through like this intense journey with him, like bringing him back from the brink, because the empire, you know, is the threat, and the kingdom needs a king, and he needs to step up and come back from the brink. So it was a really good story, and I'm curious again, like, to hear from like Troy's perspective, like is Dimitri just a psychopath over there in the corner, and they like, you know, I don't know, because from my perspective, Claude really didn't do much in the story at all, so I'm just kind of like, what the hell were the Golden Deer doing the whole time this was going on, you know? They show up for a few battles, but then they just kind of like, you know what, we're gonna peace out now that we're doing this. It almost seemed like most of my story took place between the Blue Lions and the Black Eagles. So
how are they gonna make the stoners the protagonist?
Well, it's funny because there is one point in my story where he even showed up, and he's just like, hey, cool, you came to help out, and I was like, yeah, you gonna totally join us? And he's like, nah, man, I'm gonna go do my own thing, and he just like straight up just leaves. Like, okay, I'm glad you guys were a part of the story, but like, I'm sure like the story must change from their perspective. They're up to other things, I don't know, but yeah, it was very satisfying to play, and I'm actually debating whether or not I'm actually going to go play again, because you immediately can do a new game plus, in which you can use points to basically purchase a bunch of stuff to make your playthrough easier. Say if you had like a certain bond with a certain character you recruited, you could basically buy that immediately and have that person join your house immediately now, so you don't have to go through all that effort again.
Oh, okay.
So technically it's not, and then also there's other things you can purchase, like all the EXP boosts that you purchase can carry over, so it seems like it's almost, you could play through on easy mode with the other houses, which is good for me because I just want the rest of the story. And
yeah, it's story mode versus,
and I there's a bunch of questions that I have about you know, they lead to a lot of mysteries as far as these characters have things called crests, which give them like enhanced powers, and it seems like only nobility has crests, but they don't really ever delve into that. Edelgard sided with these creepy dudes who show up every once in a while, but pretty much you beat a few of them and then you never see them again, so you don't really know what the deal with that is from my perspective. You just kind of get this finite ending between him and Edelgard, and the story kind of ends there, but you kind of don't know what actually happened with all that other stuff that took place in the background.
Yeah, the
cool.
Edelgard stuff, which is the one that I watched for the streamer. The Edelgard stuff, you find out a lot of like just BS about like the church, and then about Edelgard herself, and like I wonder what yours is. Well, we'll talk about it afterwards, but yeah, it's the Edelgard stuff is crazy.
Yeah, to the point I was like looking up, without trying to spoil. I'm like, how do you ever find, what house do you have to play? Because what are they doing? Because they were here during this scene, so does the story actually change? And no, it seems like, yeah, not giving any spoilers, but Black Eagles is the one house where it seems like you would clearly have to make a different choice that you wouldn't have to make with the other houses, and that's going to dramatically shape the story from there on out. I imagine that's where you get a lot more answers.
I feel like, because Troy took his Switch with him, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then he's playing this game. So by the time he gets back, I feel like you two should go on a spoiler mode tangent thing, because I want to hear more about the story. But, like, both sides. / we can tell everyone this is a spoiler.
Yeah,
don't
we could
listen
do that.
if you don't want to be like a spoiler cast type thing.
Yeah, we could do that because he'll be back probably about like 2 weeks, and by that point it'll be out for like 2 months. So yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can do that.
And it did this weird thing that I don't know that other games have made me do, and to which I think Troy and I alluded to it. We kind of like develop our own personal narratives with characters that we particularly like. And I used some of like what was actually there, but even going into the last fight, like you have 9 or 10 units go into the fight with you, but for me, honestly, it was really all about like 4 or 5. Like I kept like all focused around Dimitri because I'm like, these two are like his most loyal knights, and like they wouldn't leave his side. And as the professor, like I'm gonna lead. I brought him back, and I'm gonna lead him there. And then these other people, like I had like a story narrative as to where I was like moving the units across the field, and so that's really kind of honestly what drew me in. Is I'm normally not a big fan of strategy combat, but in that I was like, it wasn't just little battle animations. Like there was like things happening in my head, like as far as what was happening. So it was
would
pretty
be
fun.
hard to play another house that way. Is to
Yeah,
be like,
that's-
well, no, you can't because she's the.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's my biggest thing about starting with another house too. Is that like whether it's one of those things you just spend so much time, whether you really like love the characters at first or not, they just that's my house now. So playing with another house, I feel like it would be weird because I'm like, I don't like you people. In fact, I went out of my way to kill you when I didn't have to on the battlefield. Because there are certain objectives where it's just like beat this guy, and then other students will show up, and I was just like, no, I'm killing everybody. There were not a lot of students left at that academy at the end of my story.
you can't start Ravenclaw and then move to Gryffindor. I mean, you just pick your house and then.
And it is what it is. What it is. All right. Cool. And then last but not least, Manda.
Ooh.
I alluded to this last week, but I actually didn't play very much of it, so I'm glad I got a little more time in it before I talked about it this week. But I was playing Sky, Children of Light, which is an iOS and Android game. And it was really genuinely very pretty. I guess for those of you that aren't familiar, Sky is made by the same people who did Journey and Flower. And it's
that's right.
very much in the same vein of that.
Oh, it's got to be so pretty.
It is so pretty. It reminds me a lot of Journey. The art style and the way that you move around, and it has the same thing where while you're playing the game, other people are playing the game. And it's very much based around communications. So like you can jump up and down like you could in the old game, or you can wave. Basically, you play the game to unlock emotes to like wave, or you can look disappointed or sad. And that part. Oh, there's also aesthetic changes, so you can change your hair or your cape, and a lot of it's around the flying mechanics. So you unlock the ability to jump higher or fly further.
Oh, okay.
But in like most of the games in the series, it's not combat driven. It has a little bit of a puzzle aspect, but it's mostly about like going through the journey. And it was gorgeous. Last week, if you had asked me, I would have said it was perfect. Like there was nothing wrong with it. But this week, I got further into the levels, and I don't know if this is the game or if it's just me, but I don't like playing on the phone. I think it would have been genuinely amazing on the PS4, but you use 2 joysticks, and I put joysticks in quotation marks, on the phone, and I never quite get what I wanted to do. I'm always like an inch too far to the left, and then I fall down, and then I have to go. And a lot of it's platforming, so it was very frustrating for me, which is not at all what I want from that game. But I also recognize that I don't play a lot of games on the phone, so it could also just be me.
Well, Flower, that came out on the Vita, right?
Yes, I believe so.
That one I played a little bit of that. We had it on the Vita, and it was gorgeous. And I think the controls were a lot better because I think it's touching the phone screen that becomes the issue. Because playing Fortnite on that screen sucked. And I have a bigger phone. Because
I played Flower on the 3 because it came out for the 3, and I love that. And we played Journey on the PlayStation, so it's just this game, and I think I don't know if it doesn't, and Sky isn't out for consoles. It's just out for the phone. So I don't have any option but to like, I'm gonna do it.
Unless you buy one of those like Bluetooth controllers that you can use with your phone. And
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's a thing. But not everything supports it, so it wouldn't help you sometimes. Maybe. Who knows? Let's just go with it's
Brian's
not going
trying
to help you.
to
Trying to help you.
Save me the money, Brian.
Did you complete the game?
No, I played through a few levels last week and a few levels today.
Okay.
It's not the kind of game I want to rush.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, then good games, guys.
GG's.
Yeah. Nice variety between all of us as well. And
guess what I'll be playing next week.
Oh, I can't wait. So now that brings us to our news segment.
News.
Hate you all.
We'll start with this week with Dota 2 International is going on, which is their yearly tournament, which, in case you don't know, is a MOBA, there's just a whole lot of acronyms. Just throwing acronyms out there. If you don't get them, you don't get them. It's fine. But basically, it's a giant tournament once a year that all these teams have to qualify for. And then once they're in it, it's got a $33.7 million prize pool.
Oh, Jesus.
So it's, I think first place, if you get first place, I think it's either 10 or 15 million of that.
Gosh, I'm in the wrong
right?
business.
Yeah.
Okay, so we quit the podcast and we all just become professional gamers.
Done.
Okay.
Absolutely
Dota's
done.
hard.
Yeah,
so
Dota's
super.
I was watching some of it because I've explained on this before. I just don't get all of them, especially Dota. I'm trying to watch it though to maybe get into it or at least figure out what's going on. I still don't know what's going on. Although I can see the health bars going down, so that helps. But
right. If you don't get it, we're doomed.
Yeah. But like the thing I don't like the most about Dota is each one of the games is at least a half an hour, some of them over an hour long.
Yeah.
And then most of them, because it's a tournament, are like best of 3, best of 5. So it's like, oh my God, I'm spending like 4 hours just watching one match. Mm-hmm. Jesus.
I can see why people get frustrated when they lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like even Overwatch, it's like what, 20-minute matches?
Yeah, Overwatch. Yeah, it's not too bad at all.
Yeah, an average league match is at minimum 45 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's going on now. I think it'll be over by the time this comes out, though. But let me see. Wait, 26. Yeah, it might be over by the time it gets over.
Do you have a guess for the winner? If we were making a wager today, where would you put your money?
If I was making a wager today, because if it was yesterday, I would have put it on a different team. But today, probably last year's champion, which was OG.
Ooh.
That's the name of the team. It's just OG. It doesn't stand for anything. It might. I just don't.
Maybe?
Yeah, the original gamers. And before today, though, would have been Evil Geniuses, which is EG. But they lost to OG today.
Oh no!
So they're in the lower bracket. They might fight their way back, but they were a little bit further behind. I will like to say though, when I was watching it yesterday, Evil Geniuses had they do like really cheesy promos and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
Like how Overwatch does as well. If you watch the Overwatch League, so they do like really cheesy promos. And so Evil Geniuses is owned by a North American team. But like in quotation marks, because they're all from different countries, the 6 players that are actually playing for them.
So like real sports.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just like real sports. So like their entire video that they did, their promo was Evil Geniuses representing North America, and then it's just all of their people individually like, yeah, I'm American, and they're like trying to like practice doing stuff. So like one dude's like shooting off guns before he even opens the door. It's like really ridiculous stuff. And one guy was even like, I'm Canadian. Because it's also North America, so he's just he's practicing being polite. It was phenomenal. If you have like 5 minutes to kill, look up the Evil Geniuses representing North America video. It's phenomenal. So yeah, but Dota 2 International, lots of money going on.
The team,
your pick?
My pick is really low in standings right now. Fnatic.
Oh yeah. Oh, I like Fnatic too, but I like Evil Geniuses better.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Dota 2 International. A lot of money. Lots of money. So now our next bit of news I think we go into is No Man's Sky Beyond released.
Ooh, I heard a bit about this.
Yeah. I actually played a little bit yesterday to prepare for today.
Oh.
So I loaded up my save. It's from 2 years ago.
When did this game come out?
This game came out 3 years ago, I think. 3 or 4 years ago. I forget now, but one of those two. Let's just go with that. I think it was 3 years ago. And so I loaded up my save. And so I go into my ship. I go into my multi-tool that I had completely, souped up. And I was like, this really isn't not doing all that much. I really can't jump all that far. So like I go into my inventory or my technology that I have, and everything just says obsolete technology.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, oh no, all my stuff's reset. For my multi-tool, I had 23 like technology spots. Of those, 16 of them were obsolete technology.
Oh,
Jesus.
I had to start from nothing. So now I'm like slowly building myself up, slowly rebuilding my ship, what it used to be. But it's a little difficult.
How many hours roughly would you guess you had in the game before that?
Before this, I had 66 is what it
Okay.
said on it. Most of that was from like the first like 2 or 3 weeks. Actually, like the first month when it first came out. I was playing the hell out of that game.
So did you get to milk an alien?
I did not. No, I'm still just trying to figure out my bearings again. Because like my jetpack, I can't go far at all. Before I used to just be like forever. I'd like
You'd be like Farrah,
I'd like punch. I'd punch jetpacks. That's how you go fast. And if you melee attack and then hit your jetpack, you like go flying.
Yeah.
It's a skill that you have to acquire because you can't do it like too quickly, otherwise it won't work. You can't do it too late because it won't work.
Yeah.
So getting that back down. But before I used to do that, and I would just go flying for like ever. And then I went to do this, and I was like, I fell like immediately down. I did it off a cliff because that's the best way that you can get your distance. I did it off a cliff. I was like, oh, I'm dying.
Oh, you went off a cliff, you say?
Yeah.
You Wile E. Coyote'd it.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Beyond released. I think they've already released like 4 patches for it already.
Wow.
Well, like normal, they broke the game and then they're slowly
Yeah.
rebuilding it.
So how long do we think until they just leave this game alone?
I don't know because the last update, or at least the next update, which was the one from 2 years ago, that one they sold 2 million units in like the next several months. Or that's 2 million units, $2 million worth of them,
Okay.
or maybe it was 2 million units. One of the two. They sold a lot more worth of them.
AJ, check that fact and let us know in the Instagram
In the
comments.
Instagram, yes. But yeah, so every single time they do one of these releases, they are getting people to buy the game, which I thought everybody who would have played this already bought it. but
Yeah.
Nope.
I rebought it because the first time we played it, I had it on a different name. So when they did the expansion with the base camp, I went to play it and I was like, oh, I have to buy it again, and I like avoided it. So I paid for it twice, but because they came out with all that new content, I was like, well, I have to get. So I
Yeah.
can see if they kept putting things into it.
Yeah.
If people would continue to jump on board of just like, oh, I didn't, it wasn't my game before when it was just exploratory, but now that it's base building and ranching, I guess.
yeah. Now you can like tame monsters, or not monsters, animals. You can. There's a like crafting got a little bit overhauled. You can now cook, so now you can make.
Ooh.
Yeah, so you can make like different dishes, and some of them have really ridiculous names.
Okay, now I kind of
Stop making this sound interesting. I have too many things to play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still have to finish Dragon Quest Builders.
But yeah, it's. I played a little bit last night. I haven't gotten to any of the Beyond stuff. I'm still just No Man's Skying it. So yeah, and then also side notes. So the people who run one of the communities in No Man's Sky, they did a fundraiser a couple of months ago to put a billboard in front of No Man's Sky's offices, and so it was a billboard thanking them for continuing to work on the game.
Aww.
So they did the billboard, and like they raised, I think, almost double the amount that they needed. And so they donated the rest of it to like hospitals for like they were buying games for kids and doing this all, just doing holistic things with it. It just so happened that the billboard went up, I think, the week that Beyond dropped.
Aww.
So it wasn't even like on purpose. That was just the earliest that they could get the billboard to be put up in that one exact spot. So yeah, look up the billboard. It's actually really cute.
I love when gamers come together for good things like that.
Right?
Not to hate on people or whatever.
Yeah, you know what? If you think about it, no one's ever, to my knowledge, bought a billboard to say hateful things.
They have.
No, I mean like the gamers.
The gamers.
Oh, gamers.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
Not people in general.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's happened.
Oh, it's happened a lot. But yeah, and so yeah, that was that. Oh, and also the reason why I haven't gotten hate is because they're not in the Epic Store yet. That's
Yeah. Give it time.
yeah, right. And then we'll go to some lighter news. The Sims is getting a Magic expansion.
Ooh.
Amanda's really excited for this, isn't
I
she?
am really excited.
Is it coming out for Halloween?
I think it is. I think it's coming out in time for Halloween. Yes.
Oh.
We'll just say that yes.
Yes.
I love how factual we are this episode.
We're the best.
I've spent so much money on that game. I try not to think about it, but every time an expansion comes out, I'm like, I'm not going to buy it. And then a few months later, I'm like, it's just like 20, 30 bucks. It's not. Yeah. But if I like add it all together, I don't even want to think about it.
You don't want to think about it.
But I have to get this one because the magic ones are always my favorite.
Yeah.
The vampire magic.
Yeah, all those different ones. Yeah, because they already did the werewolf and the Dracula or the vampire one with the nightlife one earlier.
Well, there are no werewolves in 4.
Not werewolf.
There were
that's
werewolves
right.
in 3, but
that's
not
right.
in
It's just
4.
vampires.
Just vampires. Yeah,
that's right.
No werewolves? No queso? What's
Yet.
wrong with
Yeah,
them?
I know, right? Yet.
They definitely have queso.
I hope they have queso. But it will be like queso and Simlish, so it's like
Also.
Where they're clearly saying queso, but it's just a little weird.
Yeah. And the Magic expansion, I think for number 3, I think was the last one, because I think I've only had one other one. I think it was either in 3 or 2.
Yeah.
That one was actually a lot of fun. They had an spell book and all this other just awesome things going on with it. So
this one looks like it has a new neighborhood, and obviously new clothes and hair because they always do that. But it looks like they have potion making and spell casting and teleportation. So I'm excited.
Yeah,
I want to play, but I don't. But I do.
Play it.
The nice part about The Sims is you don't have to buy all of them. You can just buy the base and then this one if that's all you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they also have bundles. I think that's what you were gonna say.
It just reminded me about that Harry Potter game that leaked, and then I never heard anything else about it.
This is definitely gonna fill that void for a little while.
Okay.
A tiny amount of time, at least for like that first week when you like remake your entire family.
My heart has a big hole in it right now, waiting for that Animal Crossing. So.
Oh
yeah.
And when that comes out in 2022, it'll
Listen,
be filled.
Ryan.
When it comes out on the Swatch.
The makers of Stardew Valley are also making a Harry Potter like game, aren't they?
Are they?
Yeah, because
might.
I forget what it's called, but the next thing that they're making is a mixture between Harry Potter and Stardew Valley. It's not. There's no whisper of a release date yet.
Oh yeah, sure. Because isn't it like 3 people make that game or something?
It was just him.
Yeah.
And then he hired a couple of people because I think he just runs day to day or whatever. He's got millions of dollars to do with whatever.
Yeah, but I feel
wants.
like he still wouldn't do. I feel like it's like.
Oh no, yeah, he's not 100%.
He's not going to get a whole team to do it. He's still going to have a small team because that's his niche.
Yeah.
Something in my brain said it was Witchbrook, but I could be wrong.
That actually sounds correct.
Yeah.
I think that
AJ, fact check that for us and put it in the Instagram. Thank you.
Yeah. And then other on lighter notes, Korn, in case you guys are a 90s/2000s person, Korn, Freak on a Leash Korn, played a concert in Adventure Quest, the MMO.
Oh.
And Adventure Quest has a 3D realm and a 2D realm. They did it on both of them.
Oh.
They played 3 different songs, which obviously were all pre-recorded.
Yeah,
but they did 3 different songs, and then as the songs were going on, bosses were spawning into the zone. So while they're playing Freak on a Leash, enemies called Freaks spawned, and they all had leashes, so you had to kill them.
I appreciate that.
Right? And I think I forget what the next song was, but it was like the boss name was Ragno Rocked. And then like the last one I think was called I can't remember what the last one was called, but it was the giant boss that was behind the stage the entire time eventually came out, so you're like shooting all of your like magic missiles and your bows and arrows at this thing behind the band, but the band's still just playing like nothing's going on.
Now that you've said this out loud, I'm surprised that the Gorillas never did that, since they're like all like
they're
already
like that. Yeah, you know
Hey,
maybe
listen, next Fortnite season.
Apex Legends, come on.
Oh yeah,
that'd be weird though,
right?
You'd be like, I want to watch the band, but I don't want to die.
Yeah. And then also they had like I think a $10 and a $20 like real money thing you could pay to meet with the band afterwards as a backstage pass.
Oh my god. I want to know how much money they made off of that.
And then also after the concert was over, whether you paid for whatever, there was a merch booth that you could pay for in-game skins.
A shirt,
a T-shirt, or like guitars that were your like axes.
That you could break.
God.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous from what I saw. So yeah. Corn, good job. Good job, Stain.
Consorts, man.
Yeah. First, Marshmallow and Fortnite, and then Corn. Like, I think there's just it's all the food related items. I think it's going to be that's those only ones that are allowed to do concerts. So, and then let's go here. I guess the last thing we'll talk about is Gamescom. Gamescom just happened last week, and a lot of things were announced, or not really announced, but like shown more of.
Yeah.
There was a new game called Erica, an interactive thriller, which was a follow-up to Her. In case you ever haven't played that, that's basically you're searching through like security camera footage, or not security camera footage, but webcam footage of this one girl talking to her webcam, and you had to like search for like keywords, and it was all live action, but you, in order to search through it, was in your game. This is a follow-up to that called Erica, and it's with 4 people, and basically you are an FBI agent that is, doing FBI things. So so you have all this footage from them, like unaware that they're being recorded on their webcams and on all these other things. So you're searching through it. And one of the things I liked a lot was, you're looking at a computer screen. It's a computer interface. If you look closely, you can actually see the reflection of your character in the monitor. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's just like little things. And I think I think it shadow dropped. I think it might have also dropped that day.
Oh,
yeah.
It did?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Thank you for that. I was like, I think it shadow dropped.
Is it Erica with a C or Erica with a K?
With a C.
Okay.
With a C. So, and I think it's So I think it was pretty cheap too. I think it was only like $10.
Her was never really expensive.
No, I think Her was also like $10.
I think I got it for it was.
Yeah, it was probably a Humble
bundle.
Bumble. Yeah. That was a really cheap game. And then Kerbal Space Program 2 was announced.
What?
In case you haven't played that, pretty much everybody in this podcast at least. It is, you got to like build your own rockets. So you're like these little like green guys that are trying to go into space.
They kind of remind me of those aliens from The Simpsons.
Yeah, a little bit of them. Yeah, they're
but
kind of like
more cartoony, but like Rick
they're
and Morty.
green minions.
Okay.
You know,
like lemmings.
Yeah. And so they were like trying to get into space, so you would have to build them, or you as them would build a rocket, but then you actually had to plan all of the, like, when everything would like release, what your angle would be, and you would just do nothing but fail.
So definitely like lemmings.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, this is the second one. So you can now, it looks like you can go to different planets. You can actually like colonize places, and then everything still falls apart, which which is the name of the game, right? So that was actually, I think, announced. I don't think that we had known about that before, and I think that's going to be released next year. And then also what was announced was Little Nightmares 2, which I think you played that, right?
I'm so excited.
Yeah, it looks
so excited.
It looks ridiculously amazing.
I was hoping something would come out after they had that mobile game, which was like, it was fun. Mm-hmm. Like, for me, it was worth that sandwich that I paid to get it. But I understand it probably wouldn't have been to most other people. Mm-hmm. But I'm just so excited.
So it passed the sandwich meter.
Yeah, it passed the sandwich meter.
Good,
and shout out to the Tate's customer that came to the Not at Comic-Con event as the little girl from Little Nightmares.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's pretty awesome.
It was great.
It was pretty awesome.
Because everyone listens to this podcast. So.
Everyone. And then they finally got the release date for Witcher 3 for the Switch.
Ooh.
Which is October.
I heard that it wasn't running bad either.
Witches.
Yeah, it's not looking very good.
No.
But it does release October 15th. So I mean, if you don't have any other console or PC, it is still definitely worth a playthrough. Just if you have literally anything else, play it on that.
Okay. Just visually, it doesn't work as well?
No, it really doesn't. Yeah, graphics wise, you can definitely see where it's all just downscaled.
Yeah.
So.
Chuggy.
It didn't look chuggy. It just
textures are very muddy.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
like
like
a lot of shadows going on.
There's like no anti-aliasing going on. It's pretty rough.
Ooh.
But again, if you have nothing else, and this is the only way you can play it, it's definitely worth it.
Is it blood and wine and everything, or just the base?
I think it's everything. Yeah, I think it's
they
complete.
had vampires in the trailer.
Okay.
It's been a while since I played it.
That's right. Yeah, they did. Yeah, good call.
It's gonna be like Skyrim. They're gonna release it for everything next to my microwave.
Yeah.
Blood and wine was too good to miss.
It was. Yeah, Blood and Wine was great. And then Hideo Kojima actually showed up to the show.
It just never stops being funny how Jeff Keighley just worships the ground he walks on.
Yeah.
He's like, yo, everybody, I know we're showing off literally a million games, but Hideo Kojima just entered the building. Everybody needs to know.
Everybody. And then, like, sirens went off, and then, like, the feed cut out, and it was just, no. But, yeah, he actually showed up, and he showed off a whole bunch of new, like, Death Stranding stuff. And it looks like Kojima actually really likes Jeff as well. Like, they have a really good, because like Jeff is even going to be in the game.
Aww.
Yeah, it's he's not going to be voicing it. It's actually Matt Mercer.
Matt Mercer, yeah.
Matt Mercer
really?
is going to be voicing him.
It's gonna be so weird watching him and then seeing Matt or hearing Matt instead.
Yeah.
It's pretty much how every major character seems to be. They have their likenesses, but whether or not it was acting ability or just time, they have actors playing the people.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah,
Because there was extended like story trailer with Guillermo del Toro's character explaining a lot more about what the deal with the babies are and whatnot. So we actually have an understanding at least of that part of the game.
Oh, so how do the babies work?
we still don't know.
I'm probably gonna butcher this, but it has to do with either like the baby or the mother dying like from like a stillborn death or whatnot, but they're still connected by the umbilical cord, and so one of them existing in the realm of the death allows them to see like these dead thing beach things or whatever. So they have the baby that's alive, but it's still connected to the mother who's dead or whatever, so it allows you to have see into the other realm.
That's dark.
Yeah.
That is super. So because it's in that little like container thing.
Yes.
So then, like, they have, like, a chunk of the mother in there with it?
No,
it's
mother's
just
in
the
the death
baby.
realm.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
there's like, I guess like a trans-dimensional umbilical cord,
Okay.
basically.
Yeah. It's
Sounds like he's carrying around a thing that's, like, the size of a lunchbox.
Then they showed off Margaret Qualley's character, who's just called Mama, and Norman Reedus shows up, and there's just, like, an invisible baby there. And she's like they're both still alive, but the baby is alive in the other realm, and so she's taking care of a baby, and it was just really bizarre.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kojima. Everything can just be summed up by Kojima.
It's funny because while you play the games, you're like, well, this makes complete sense. I'm
Yeah.
completely on board with this.
Yeah,
it's just when you
absolutely.
try to explain it to another person that you're like,
Yeah, I don't know how he gets these ideas onto anything, because how do you explain this?
that's how he's magic.
That's his true genius actually going on. And then they showed off a new mechanic in the game, which was the letter P. They showed off that mechanic in the game, and that does have stuff to do with it, I guess.
Hey, we have hunger meters in games before. We had sleep meters. He's just going the extra mile.
Nah, yeah. We'll go with extra mile. That's a mile that nobody needs to walk.
I can't remember the full name of the game, Zach. You might. It's not called it's like My Summer Car or something like that.
Oh, that game, yeah.
That Funhouse always plays.
Yeah.
There's a P meter in that.
Oh yeah.
So it's not the
bathroom,
first game.
There's the bathroom meter in The Sims. Yeah.
Yes,
No,
yes.
We'll go with that. Sure. And then last thing I do want to talk about though is Life is Strange 2. They had the trailer for episode 4, and all it was just an entire trailer of spoilers. It wasn't a trailer; it was a spoiler. Because as I was watching it, I was like, "Huh, I know what happens in the other 3. I haven't played them, but I've talked to them about it with you, Katelyn, and I was like, huh, this is all of that."
Yeah.
And not just all of it; it is just the aftermath of it.
Yeah, the end of episode 3 was like, how the hell did they do this? And I don't want to say any spoilers because I do want to at least wait till all of 5 episodes to come out before I start spoiling this one.
Yeah.
Because I know there's people that wait to binge them, but it's like the end of episode 3, I was like, I don't know how you're doing 2 more episodes.
Oh yeah. Oh, and as I was watching this, I was like, huh. This is episode 4. Oh, I thought this was episode 5. Oh my God, there's still another one after this.
Yeah, and that one doesn't come out till like December, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Something along those lines. But
I haven't watched the trailer yet because I haven't played it yet, but I'm hoping Zach and I can play it in the next couple of days.
Yeah.
So I can watch the trailer.
Downloaded.
Yeah.
It's downloaded? Okay.
Yeah. And if you do want to play it, just mute your thing for like the next 5 seconds. But the trailer is just like, what would you do to get your brother back? And I was like, whoa,
What?
whoa,
What?
whoa.
What? What? What?
Yeah, which means something if you've already bought the game.
Yeah.
But, like, they're supposed to be advertising to people who haven't played
haven't.
the game.
Yeah. Like, they already got your money if you.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that was basically the news. So you know, I've been I just had something to eat before we got here.
It's smart.
Some okay. You know, I'm not too bad, but I am looking for something like kind of like an after dinner mint.
Like a little Andes.
Something like the Andy says, something like that. But like those like the things that actually are called after dinner mints that kind of like just dissolve in your mouth.
Off-brand.
Yeah,
ones.
yeah, those off-brand ones that as soon as you put them in your mouth, they're gone. You know,
It
like
doesn't
something
sound that
along like
tasty.
that. Yeah, it's a little tasty. Like it's just a hint. Just a hint.
Just a hint of the taste.
Yeah.
Like a tasty topic.
Oh. Nom, 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 nom. We tried our best, Troy.
Hey, it wasn't 40 minutes long.
It wasn't.
I blame Lewis for that.
Yeah. That was 1,000% Lewis.
I'm waiting for next week's episode where like it's just the tasty topic, getting to the tasty topic for like most of the episode.
Yeah, right. So Zach, I believe you are this week's topic taker.
Taster.
So I was just more curious about everybody else because I know that I've talked about this several times, but it's like having a rough night the other night and like looking at, I have a shelf for like my personal favorite franchise of games and just thinking about like all the good memories I've had with it. So that was just kind of like what I wanted to ask you guys. If I know we like all kinds of games, but if there's one particular franchise that every time you see it, if there's a new game coming out, or even if there's nothing new coming out, that still is like a franchise of games that nothing else can meet up to, for whether it be like personal reasons, emotional reasons, or whatnot, if there's something like that for any of you guys.
Okay. And your shelf, which game was that?
It's Final Fantasy. And like I said, I know I've talked about it before, and I don't remember how much I've shared before, but yeah, it's just a franchise where every single one of those games, I can think of a point in my life from being a very small kid to, you know, like all the hard, like real life stuff that you don't talk about, you know, because you're talking about it. But, you know, I remember being a kid and I wasn't even in high school yet, and all the like the stuff between the bad stuff between like my parents and my upbringing and stuff like that. But I would just be sitting there playing like Final Fantasy X or whatever whenever it came out, and those are the memories that I really think about over the other things, because that's what made me love games so much. It was always an outlet and a form of escapism and whatnot. So I just didn't know if you guys had a franchise that was like that for you, or if I was just a weird person. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you're weird, but that's not because of that. You know? Did you have one, Manda?
I did. I actually thought about this a lot this week. I've talked about Dragon Age many times, and if I had to pick my favorite franchise, it would be Dragon Age. But the more I thought about it, the more I was kind of drawn, because I don't know if Dragon Age has had as big of an impact on my life as this game. But my first MMORPG was Dark Age of Camelot. I started playing it when, I want to say I was like 16 at the time, and I think I played it for 5 years. I played it every moment I was not at school or at dance class. I had a guild. I was like 1,000% into my guild. We did raids. We had our own RPG storyline that was like not in the game. It was just like our content on top of it. And not only was the game like super personal for me at the time, because it was like that weird transition, like when you leave like high school and you try to figure out college, and it was definitely like a level of escapism. But I got so many skills from that like in hindsight very much shaped like not only just what I'm into, but like some of the things that I'm good at. Like online social skills. I think we were talking about this with Final Fantasy, is just like the chat and how to interact with other people in online games, and like I got all of that from playing that game. Also, like I do some writing and like character development, and as silly as it sounds, like role playing inside of the game helped me like think like characters would think. So when I write stuff for D&D today, or when I write short stories or something, it's much easier for me to like hop in the mindset of a character having like quote unquote played characters before. Yeah,
and then you also have experience from what other people have written, and whether or not you actually enjoyed that, or if you didn't, so you can bring their writing, or not even their writing, but their perspective to what you would think that yours would be.
Right. Like I can see, and it was also like, again, I played all of the time.
Yeah.
So it was just like, constant writing exercises of being able to play and write simultaneously. And then like lasting friendships. One of the people that I met on the game actually went overseas to fight in Iraq, and I was his pen pal for 2 years, and we still periodically call each other.
Oh,
so
that's
I know
cool.
people like there's like this negative like energy around having friends that you only meet on the internet, but I was like, I've never met him in person, and we still periodically are like, oh, how are the kids and how's your new house, and yeah, really great stuff. So that one would be mine.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Katelyn, did you have one?
So mine is the Legend of Zelda series.
Okay.
Surprise, surprise, it's tattooed on my wrist. Growing up, it was one of the first, like, it's what made me want to get an N64, the Ocarina of Time. I played that game so often, and Majora's Mask so often growing up, and it's just was there for me when it was when people weren't. I had that game to escape to, similar to what Zach was saying, and every time a game comes out, I make sure now I'm getting all the collector's editions because I'm an adult and I can afford to, or Zach's buying me the collector's editions. So like I'm super excited, and even replaying the old games, it's hard to explain, but the magic is still there. Even replaying like whenever they do the remakes and stuff like that, like I'm so excited for
Link's Awakening?
Link's Awakening, there we go.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I remember I was going to say the one with the egg, and I'm like,
it's still right.
Yeah, but that's not the only one that's had an egg in it.
Yeah, I know. Well,
okay.
You know,
but,
why not?
Yeah, I remember going and buying all of them with my own money growing up, like saving up for those on my Game Boy, and actually handheld-wise, those were the only games I bought handheld for years. Mm-hmm. I think the first game I bought for my handheld that wasn't Tetris, Zelda related, or Pac-Man related was like the Wolverine 2 movie.
Yeah.
And then that was it. So yeah, for the longest time. So that series like always holds a special place in my heart. The music, the characters, the stories. Like sometimes they can be super simple, sometimes they can be super complex, but no matter what, I'm there.
Yeah.
The music I have tattooed on my left wrist, so it's gonna be a part of me forever.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I have Zach has his shelves of Final Fantasy. I have my shelf of Zelda. Shelves. Well, yeah. Okay, I have 2 shelves, but they're not next to each other because our bookshelf doesn't hold. One bookshelf doesn't hold the big books, so those have to be on a different shelf. All right. So I technically have 2 shelves. They're just not next to each other.
Shelves.
Yeah.
That's pluralized. That's fine.
What about you, Brian?
Ooh, me. So it's also an MMO, but it's not just one, because like for me, I'm kind of a sucker for MMOs for the exact reason Manda was talking about earlier. Like I started out playing The Realm, which was one of the ones I think I started playing in 97. Oh God. Oh God.
I was 6.
Yeah. Oh God. But I played that back then, and it also helped me like with socializing. It had its own in-game story, but it really didn't. Like it really didn't. It had like a loose story or whatever. So we all were kind of making our own. We had all of our friends and inside of it. And so, it's one of those experiences of, logging onto the game and then immediately seeing your friends list and saying, hey, who's on my friends list? Oh, sweet, this person's on. We can raid, or, we can do whatever. Or we could just talk. We don't have to do anything. We could just hang out in town and just talk back and forth to one another. And so it's like that, because that I played for like 3 years roughly. And I found out somebody that I was talking to in the game actually only lived like 15 minutes away from me. We never met, but it was funny talking about stuff that's going on in our neighborhood or stuff, or local places. Like, oh, have you been to Sawgrass? Have you been to this? Have you been to that? And going back and forth with something local, even though we never met in person.
You need to Facebook stalk this person now.
If I knew what their name was, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. But no, I mean, but that's the thing. Like back then, I don't know who they are. Like I didn't know their real name. I just knew them as Abathur inside the game. or Arbor. Yeah, I think that's it. We'll just go with that.
Well, since everyone listens, they're gonna reach out to you now, Brian.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the Instagram comments.
Yeah. However, so like my next one after that one, like almost immediately, was Ultima Online. In Ultima Online, I met a close knit group of people, and we all started like just talking, and like they took me under their wing, and I think there was a family. I think it was like an entire family from like Louisiana or something like that.
Aww.
They're all like the nicest people. You know, they're helping me out, and I hung out with them for like a year or so, and then like I met a bunch of other people inside the game. One of which I am still friends with on Facebook.
Oh.
We've never met in person, but I know them from Ultima Online.
Yeah.
And this was back in 2002.
11.
Where, oh God, when I was in college. and so, I met her online, but this was way back when I was like, oh, the girls don't play online games, and so I just thought she was fake. Like I didn't care if it was a boy or a girl, but it was a girl, and I was like, okay, whatever. So I was just talking to her, but every single thing that I ever saw of her, because I think we were MySpace friends back then. Mm-hmm. Whatever she was posting, it was like, oh, this is clearly some guy. He just stole this from some other girl, and he's just posting about it.
Putting up pictures of his sister or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, this is actually a real person, and she's really awesome. And so like we're still friends on Facebook. She lives up in New York, and so we every now and then it's like, hey, I miss talking to you. Hey, I miss talking to you. We'll send messages back and forth, seeing how we're doing. Kind of like how with you, your person, Manda.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those, this is really nice to like catch up with somebody I've never met, at least face to face. And so I'm just kind of like a sucker for MMOs. Yeah. Whenever a new MMO comes out, I'm like, all right, I got to try it. Maybe this will be it. Maybe this will be something else.
Brian, always cheating the system.
Are you damn right?
His favorite video game was arcades.
That was one of them.
Now his favorite series, MMOs, entirety.
It was something that we're a sucker for, and that brings us nostalgia.
Okay.
I'm going to go with MMOs in general.
Okay.
Something that affected our lives.
Something that affected our lives. Those are like back-to-back ones that completely heavily did. And then immediately after that, it was Star Wars Galaxies, which I play with my real life friend, and we like did a whole bunch of we were like running the armor on the entire server. We were the best armorers. Well, he was the best armorer. I was the one that was gathering the materials. So I was like the best miner. So we were just like running this gambit, this entire like racket where people knew our names because we were so good at something.
Are they on? Darn.
Yeah, exactly. And so that was the first game I actually played with somebody I knew. And so all of these MMOs are just one of those, every single time a new one comes out, I'm like, I'll try you. Let's see. I'll try you. I'm a sucker for you.
What's the last one?
The last one, well, Final Fantasy 14.
But no, like the last one that's like a new one you've played.
A new one I played. Ooh. I actually kickstarted a couple of ones. I'm just waiting for them to come out. Like Ashes of Creation. I can't remember.
For those of you who don't know, Brian is a Kickstarter shark.
Yeah.
Yes. If he kickstarts something, we should have a segment that's just you talking about the things you've kickstarted, because they're guaranteed to get funded. If Brian finds something, he's just like, yeah, that $1 million game that's out, I kickstarted that when it was only $4.
Yeah. Look in the credits. My name is there. But yeah, for me, it is MMOs. It's trying to capture, not even capture, but it's trying to get that feeling, of just that you can only get in MMOs. Mm-hmm. Sucker.
So people.
Yeah, people. Yes, real other people. So, but yeah, I like that topic. That was good.
Y'all playing these MMO games, and then I'm all here by myself with my single player games.
Yeah. Hey, WoW Vanilla's coming out this Tuesday.
You could
do
WoW
that.
Vanilla.
Why not?
Hey, I told you. If it wasn't the MMO, it was Dragon Age. And
Yeah.
Dragon Age is 1,000% a single player game.
Yeah. I debated Mass Effect, but it didn't have like that hold on me.
I'm a different person because I play Dark Age Camelot, but
Yeah.
I will spend the rest of my life buying anything that Dragon Age makes without thinking about it.
Actually, I can 1,000% agree with that. I'm the person I am because of those MMOs. However, I will buy anything Mass Effect because I am a sucker. Even with Andromeda being I will still buy another Mass Effect game if
I
they
played
premiere it.
all of Andromeda.
Yeah. You did. You did. I had some other stuff to play and I just never went back. But yeah, good topic there.
Yeah.
Zach. And now that brings us to our Dragon of the Week. Boom, 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 boom.
Dragon.
Of the week.
Troy, we missed you.
We're so cheap. It's the Dragon of the Week.
Do.
We're not Troy.
We should record that so while he's gone, we can just like hold a phone up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Joe, please splice that in now at this timestamp.
But Dragon of the Week, as always, is the segment of our show where we show some love to a person in the industry who you might otherwise not know about, or maybe you do, and you're just trying to figure out, maybe you never knew that they wanted to be a potter or something their entire life. Or anything, but video games. So our Dragon of the Week this week is you, Manda, correct?
It is. And my Dragon of the Week kind of ties into the game that I've been playing. I started to play Sky, and when I realized that Sky was made by the same people who did Journey, I was like, well, who makes these? So I looked up Jenova Chen. Yes, his name is Jenova, based on the Final Fantasy character Jenova. And actually, he said he chose the name because he's like, there's going to be a million John Chens, but only one Jenova Chen. and he actually liked the video game tie-in. But he's from Shanghai, and he made Cloud, Flow, Flower, Journey, and Sky.
Okay.
He's really into getting emotional responses from players in video games, where he's not necessarily making a game to be competitive or even to like meet an objective. It's more to make you feel something or experience like the story. Mm-hmm. He likes to think that he made like a new genre of games rather than just kind of playing on what exists already, and he calls it the Zen genre of games, which if you've played Flower before, that's exactly
Oh yeah.
He definitely achieved what he was going for.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes for games with a universal appeal. He said that Flower was an interactive poem more than a game, which, again, if you've played Flower, totally makes sense.
Yep.
And then the first game that he made, Cloud, is a game where there's a player in a hospital, and you kind of soar through their imagination even though they're trapped indoors.
I do find it funny that game's name is Cloud and his name is Jenova. just I don't know. I don't know if that was on purpose, but it's pretty great.
From what I've read, maybe it was.
Yeah, maybe it was.
But I picked him because he has this really awesome way of making video games that kind of transcend what normal games are. His games are beyond geography, language, and culture in that there's very few pieces of entertainment in general that you can consume regardless of where you live and what language you speak, or like what different gestures mean to you. But all of his games are so universal that you can sit down and play them with another person. And I think that's what makes Journey so amazing, is you don't even know who you're playing with, but there's just another character in the game, and you can experience the entire game, and it doesn't matter who they are or what they look like or what they believe in or what language they speak, is you can have that same experience with another person. And that's just completely unique.
Dope.
Yeah, it's dope. And he's not to be this person, but whenever I want to give someone an example of a video game as art, I didn't realize it, but I always pick one of his games. Oh. Where it was like, I have a very businessy job, so whenever people look at video games, they're like, shooter, Call of Duty kind of things. And it's like, no, they're really, not only are they really good video games, but the video game genre transcends like the stereotypes that you're thinking about. It's not just shooters, and it's even not just RPGs. Like there are things that are like beyond that, and it's like whenever I would think of like, oh no, there are artistic video games like Flower or Journey or Sky. It's just like, oh, they're all his games. Yeah. So I thought that was really wonderful, is that his goal in making video games was sort of to unite everyone, and in a world where most of the video games are about being competitive or killing things
Yeah.
or blowing things up or doing things that improve the experience for yourself, having something that's unifying and universal is amazing. So
Nice.
Thank you, Jenova Chen.
Yes,
Yes.
thank you very much. I will also like to thank you because when Manda first typed out her Dragon of the Week in our chat, I did originally read it as Jenova Chen. So I was like, are we doing like a Japanese like Jenova girl? Like, I'm down for this. And then I read it again. I was like, so I had to look up like to see if there ever was like a Jenova Chen. Technically there isn't, but some people have drawn some very sexy Genovas. So that's pretty funny. I actually wasn't sure where he got that name from. I was like, oh wow, his parents were either very forward thinking or wanted him to get picked on in school. But if that's a name he chose for himself, that's pretty cool.
He did.
Okay.
You gotta imagine he had the most like John Smith type name before that, like the most just stereotypical person.
John Chen is like is fairly common.
So he's like, I'm going to stand out.
Yeah.
Sephiroth is too hard to spell.
Yeah. I have a Mr. Sephir, whatever. Well, very cool. Do you know how old he is by any chance?
He is 37.
God. People actually doing stuff with their lives.
yeah, and this is his 5th game that he's made, and they're very much him. So it's he's done a lot.
Nice. Well, good Dragon of the Week there, Manda.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. I would also like to point out, so Rami Ishmael was my dragon. Yeah, I know Malik. I don't know why. I mean, I know why I went there, but it's okay. Joe will cut it out, right? Right, Joe? No, she's not.
She'll fix it in post.
But Rami Ishmael was my dragon, my last one. And so as I was watching Gamescom, I was watching it with these a group of guys called, I think they call themselves like Drop Frames or whatever, but they're a bunch of Twitch broadcasters. And so it's 3 of the guys, and so they're watching it. And then all of a sudden, like a 4th person pops up, and it's Rami Ishmael. And I was like, wait, I know what you look like because of, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, hey, how's it going, Rami? I was like, yes. Yes. So it was pretty cool watching Gamescom with him also commentating on it. It was pretty cool.
He knew you were watching.
Yeah, he knew he was watching. I mean, obviously he listens to the podcast.
Yeah.
He's like, shout out to my boy Brian.
That's right. What? All right, cool. So that unfortunately brings us to the end of this episode, though. Womp womp. And Troy, we missed you, but obviously not, because we still went pretty well without you. So I mean, I don't know.
Oh yeah, our song was spot on.
Spot on. Do you have some information for us?
Just so that we don't go a week without mentioning Nancy Drew.
We already did.
Shush. There were some stills released from in-game last week that were like the day after the episode. Of course, they released them, and they look exactly like the last couple of games, which is really weird because this supposedly part of the reason it's taken 6-7 years to make this game was because they changed game engines. And it looks the exact same.
It took that long because they put so much perfection into the last one that it took that long to get that level of perfection.
Would you
into
call
the new
those
engine.
screenshots perfection, Brian?
Perfection for what they were wanting.
Continuity, Katelyn.
Yeah.
Continuity.
Yeah. You have to make sure that people don't get confused between the games.
Oh yeah, let me tell you.
You don't want this to be like a like an Aunt Viv situation in season 3 of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Got to make sure that everything looks the same.
Okay. Can't wait to make you all play it. It'd be
Hey,
great.
I'm excited
Yeah,
now.
we're all down. We're all down to play.
I have played a lot of the Sherlock Holmes games, so this is probably very similar.
They are all on my Steam wish list. I just haven't bought any of them
Oh
yet.
yeah.
Every Steam sale, I'm like, this is the one I'm going to do it. And then I'm like, oh, I forgot the Steam sale was going on.
It's over.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm glad that you have some Nancy Drew news.
You're welcome.
Some Nancy news.
Some Nancy
Drew
news. Drew news?
I'm just gonna go with Nancy news.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked that out in my brain. It didn't work.
The Drew news. No.
No.
It almost rhymes.
It's almost
It
there.
does rhyme. Oh no, Drew's news.
Yeah. Drew's
Drew's news. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see, look, we brainstormed that out right now.
Yeah.
Very well done, guys.
Who preps before a podcast?
None of us. As always, though, we do record live upstairs in Tate's Comics. Tate's, powered by our friends with 3000 Brigade. Yeah. And you can find us online on the Instagrams and the TikToks and the tweeters.
Facebook.
Yeah, Troy's not here for me to pass this off to. So who do we have for Rankings of Dragons this week?
I'm pretty sure her name is just Dragon.
Yes.
But she's from the Shrek video games, so we'll be ranking up Shrek Dragon Lady.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right, and that'll be out there for you guys to see where we ranked her.
Compared to
because
Mushu?
She's definitely better than Mushu.
I don't know if I believe that, Brian.
I'm disappointed Mushu isn't last out of all of the.
Hey, I fought really hard for that. But I acquiesced. It's fine.
I had to get one in there.
You got one. It's fine. It's fine. Mushu will always be second to last.
No, I will find someone worse.
Oh, no, there's definitely going to be one worse than him. The only reason why Darby isn't is because he had a dope theme song. That's the only thing that saved him from second to last, if not last. But as always, my name is Brian.
I'm Manda.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Katelyn.
Have a great week, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Yummy. Nom, 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 nom. Choose news.